Hello there, and welcome to Cryptic Code. Today we'll be learning about a popular programming language, Python. But before we get there, let's talk about programming as a whole. What is programming? Quite simply, programming is instructing a computer to perform various tasks. This could be as simple as displaying some text on the screen or adding two numbers together. To give computers these instructions, developers use different languages to communicate with them. One popular programming language is Python, released in 1991. It has been growing in popularity since its creation, with more than 8 million users. It is used for a variety of purposes, including developing websites, automating tasks, and analyzing data. It is used by a large group of companies, including Google, Spotify, and Netflix, and is a great first programming language to learn. In this series, we will explore the basics of the language, starting with a concept that is used in a variety of languages: variables. There are a variety of ways you can program in Python. For these tutorials, I'll be using Visual Studio Code by Microsoft with the Python extension added. I'll leave a link to it down in the description. You can also use websites like REPL.it for these tutorials, and I'll leave a link to that too. Create a new file and name it main.py. .py is the extension used by Python files. This tells the computer it's a Python file so it can run it in Python. Now, let's talk about something that is found in most programming languages: variables. Variables are values that you can change. I like to think of variables as boxes where you can store things in. You can change the items in the box, but it is still contained in the same box or variable. Variable can be set to store a variety of data. Today we look at four basic types of data: integers, floats, strings, and booleans. An integer is any numerical value without decimal places, for example, the number 7. A float is any numerical value with a decimal place, for example, 6.3. A string is a sequence of characters put together between a pair of quotation marks. For example, the sentence "coding is fun" is a string. Booleans are the simplest of them all. A boolean is a value that is either true or false. In Python, this has to begin with a capital letter. Variables can be named after any single word that isn't reserved by Python. For example, I can create a variable called number1 and set it to equal 8. Now, if we try finding the value of the variable number1, it'll display 8. But how do we show the user what's stored in a variable? Well, to help us with that, Python has some built-in functions we can use. Functions are blocks of code that run when they are called. We will go into this in more detail in a later video, but for now, all you need to know is that a function consists of its name and a pair of brackets. It is within these brackets we put what we want to send to the function. Python has some built-in functions that can help us achieve what we are trying to do. The first is the print function that allows us to print something to the display of the user. Let's take the variable we created earlier and put it in the brackets. Now, if we run the program, we can see the value of number 8 printed. Now, what would we do if we wanted to take an input from the user and store it so we can use it later? Python has a function for that too. The input function allows us to ask the user something and let the user type something into the program. To use it, we call the input function with brackets. Within the brackets, we can type a prompt to the user. This is optional, but is a good way to tell the user what you want them to input. To print a prompt, be sure to use a string in the brackets, and inside that, type what you want to display. I'm going to ask the user to enter their name. What is your name? Question mark. To make this look neater, leave space at the end of your question. You'll see why in a moment. Now, if we run this program, we can see it ask what our name is. I'm going to type in my name and hit enter. The program ends. At the end of the input statement, there's a space left before we have to type. Now it just looks a little bit neater. How do we access what the user typed in? Well, to do that, we create a variable and set it to equal the input statement. I'm going to call mine user input, but you can call yours whatever you want. Now, let's access what the user typed with a simple program. Below the input statement, let's create a print function and set it to print whatever the user typed in. Now, if we run the program and type in our name, we can see it printed back to us. Congratulations! You've just made your first program. Well, that's going to be all for this video. In the next episode of this series, we will explore a new data type, lists, and how to let Python make decisions based on our data. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I'll try to answer them the best I can. If you want more content like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit that bell to be notified when I upload a new video. Thank you for watching and I'll see you later.